She looked me dead in the eyes, held up my report in front of the entire team, and said, "Did you even graduate college?" Everyone laughed. Not loudly, just enough. What she didn't know was that the document she was tearing apart was written by her. And that moment, that was the beginning of the quietest, most satisfying workplace revenge I've ever experienced. If you ever had a boss who criticized everything you did just to feel powerful, if you've ever smiled through disrespect while planning your comeback, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready, because this one is slow, psychological, and absolutely earned. This happened about 15 years ago in Chicago. I had just landed what I thought was a career-defining opportunity at a major financial firm called Hawthorne Capital Group. The recruiter sold it perfectly. You'll be working on high-visibility projects, senior leadership exposure, strategic financial operations. Translation? I was joining a 2-person reporting team buried in compliance basement, and my manager was a woman named Diane Mercer, mid-40s, perfect posture, razor blade smile, the kind of person who corrected grammar in birthday cards. On my first day, she shook my hand and said, "I have very high standards. Most people don't meet them." That should have been my warning. My primary responsibility was compiling weekly risk exposed reports related to offshore oil derivatives tied to West African contracts. High liability, big numbers, real money. If we messed up, millions could be exposed. So I triple-checked everything. Numbers were perfect. Sources verified. Calculations cross-referenced. But Diane didn't care about accuracy. She cared about control. Every Friday, like clockwork, she would summon me. She'd sit back in her chair, red pen in hand. And then it would begin. "Why is this comma here? This sentence feels aggressive. Your margins are 0.2 inches off. This paragraph lacks executive tone." It wasn't feedback. It was theater. And the audience? Whoever happened to be in earshot. One time she circled a perfectly formatted header and said, "This is sloppy. You need to take pride in your work." My ears burned. My jaw clenched. But I nodded because I needed the job. One afternoon, after she'd shredded a cover letter for emotional inconsistency, whatever that means, I stayed late. The office was quiet. Just a hum of fluorescent lights and the faint smell of printer toner. I opened a shared drive to search old project files. And that's when I found it. A folder labeled D. Mercer, Risk Reporting Archives. Curiosity 1. I opened one of her old reports from 5 years earlier, and I froze. The formatting? Identical to mine. The sentence structure? Nearly the same. Margins? Inconsistent. Tone? Direct. Blunt. There were even minor grammatical errors. I opened another. Same thing. And then another. And suddenly, the puzzle clicked. She wasn't correcting mistakes. She was inventing flaws. Because if everything was wrong, she was always superior. I leaned back in my chair, heart pounding, and a slow smile crept across my face. The next week, I rebuilt the report, using her exact formatting, her phrasing, her paragraph structures, even her signature closing line. "Please advise if further clarity is required." I copied it word for word. Only the financial data was updated. Everything else? Pure Diane Mercer. I printed it, walked to her office, knocked. She didn't look up. "Leave it." 10 minutes later. "Come in. Here we go." She was already holding the report. Red pen uncapped. Face tight. "What is this?" I blinked. "What do you mean?" "This format is chaotic. The structure lacks hierarchy. This is, honestly, one of the weakest submissions you've given me." There it was. Public humiliation mode activated. 2 analysts were in her office reviewing something. They heard everything. She flipped pages dramatically. And this cover letter? It's borderline unreadable. I felt the room go still. This was the moment. I kept my face neutral, calm, controlled. And then I said, "Interesting." She paused. I reached into my folder and pulled out 3 printed documents. Her documents. I placed them gently on her desk. These are your reports from 2017. Same project category. Same reporting structure. Silence. I continued. I used your exact template and language. I thought aligning with your proven format would improve clarity. One of the analysts leaned forward. Diane looked down, then back at me, then back at the documents. Her mouth opened, closed. Her red pen slowly lowered. For the first time since I'd known her, she had nothing. I tilted my head slightly. So should I revert back to my original structure? Or is this acceptable? Her jaw tightened. She signed the report. Hard. Ink pressed deep into the page. It's fine. We don't have time to redo it. So now it was fine. 30 seconds ago, it was unreadable. I nodded, understood, and I walked out. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from adrenaline, from victory. Here's where it gets better. I saved every single one of her archive reports locally, organized them, created a reference folder. If she criticized tone, I matched her tone. If she attacked formatting, I mirrored hers exactly. And every single time, she would begin tearing it apart. And every single time, I would calmly reference her previous work. She stopped criticizing publicly. She became cautious, measured, because she knew I had receipts. A few weeks later, the shared archive folder disappeared. Deleted. Too late. I already had everything. One afternoon, she pulled me aside. You've been using my prior reports? I nodded. I thought consistency across leadership timelines was important. Her lips pressed in. She couldn't argue that. From that point on, she barely reviewed my work. Just signed it. No red pen. No speeches. No audience. 3 months later, I accepted a role at another firm. Higher pay. Better culture. On my last day, Diane shook my hand. Her grip tight. Best of luck. I smiled. Please advise if further clarity is required. Her eye twitched, and I walked out. The revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. There was no screaming. But watching someone who built authority on intimidation confront their own hypocrisy, that was powerful. She didn't lose her job, but she lost control. And for someone like her, that was everything. Workplace revenge doesn't always mean sabotage. Sometimes it's documentation. Sometimes it's patience. Sometimes it's letting someone trip over their own ego. And the most satisfying victories are the ones where you never raise your voice. You just hold up a mirror if this story hit a little too close to home. If you've ever had a micromanaging boss who thrived on tearing people down, drop a comment below. What's the pettiest or most satisfying workplace comeback you've seen? And don't forget to subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotionally charged Reddit revenge stories just like this. Because trust me, some of the best revenge stories are the quiet ones.